and carbon filtration, R&W Heating has the indoor air quality solution for your home. While some purifiers can go anywhere in your home, R&W Heating Energy Solutions also has high-efficiency air filtration options you can connect directly to your ducted heating and cooling systems. For more information on indoor air quality products and services, give R&W Heating Energy Solutions a call at 860-848-9993.
Managing Director of Paragon Trust Company and tax and private client practitioner, joins us to bring a common sense approach to money in a world of total insanity. Let's welcome Tony D'Angelo.
All right, my pal Tony D joining us here as he does each and every Tuesday morning, bright and early at 6:35. Tony, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, and proud to be among everybody.
So, what kind of a response did you get seeing that you were the guy behind doing all the digging about this latest escapade with Governor Lamont?
Well, I received a number of, and thank you for mentioning me, and I received a number of encouraging comments, which caused me to do a little bit of a study of you, Lee Elci, and the fine work you do with the column. And silence can be a deafening thing in many respects, because I had gone back to your column that you had done on the election, and there were 100 commenters. 80 were maybe 85 were against you, 15
right.
were for. However, on this, and all the comments are incredibly well done, but this one with its link to documents, to sequencing, to references, there was a total of, count 'em kids, 18 comments, 14 of which were pro Lee Elci, 4 were against. So you can only imagine a bunch of people just kind of sitting there scratching their heads and fuming, or, they've been like, how did this get out there, or whatever the thing may be. And the reaction was very curious, and I think it kind of leads you to the whatever you want to call it, as my old tax chair Bob Frisch would say at Rogers and Wells, the socio-economico, politico, religioso, probinistico mindset, which is, whatever I do, whatever I say to you, whatever barb or comment or tinfoil hat or all this other nonsense, that's supposed to be taken as gospel. But when you come to me with facts and cases and sequences and things you can reference, we're just going to do our best to ignore you. This is really kind of like the standard of members of the Connecticut legislature and the Senate. Duff can come out with his QAnon comment, Ara Simowitz last year with, I hope the people at the rally get sick, all this kind of nonsense. That's okay. That gets printed, but we kind of look for the state-run media to sort of bury that. We're going to forget about it. Well, listen, I'm not going to forget about it, because there are two ways to this street. And it's just that several of the commenters, and this is the thing, I'm a bank trust guy, I get into statistics. Several of the commenters tried to get scientific. And one guy said, well, Mr. Elci's not being transparent because there's an ethics agreement. And if you can go and read my comment on that, basically it's Swiss cheese and they know it. The whole thing was rigged. There was a May agreement covering one entity. The first Oak Caymans was in August. It's like, come on, people. So basically what it's coming down to is heat is now coming at you, you, whatever you want to call it, state-supported, state-run, socio-economico politicos. You're now going to be seen for who you really are. Your skirt is now showing.
Well, let me just add 2 cents to that. So what I've been doing this now for radio for 15, doing talk radio, longer than that, doing other forms of radio, but talk radio 15, and then I've been doing this column for over 2 now. And there's one thing that's crystal clear for me, is that if you smack somebody between the eyes with a column, meaning that there's nothing for them to say and nowhere for them to go, they don't comment, right? They rarely will come out, Tony, and say, wow, good job. You'll get the supporters will, but most of the folks at the day are not supporters, evident of the 100 comments that
whatever
I get.
You have.
Right. And, some of them I get 80, there's 65, and most of them, 90% are negative. But that's only because you've, kind of tickled something that they feel like they can defend. There's no defending this, right? So what you have brought to light, they cannot defend. So that, and what's sad about this, and I was talking about this actually with Paul on Monday off the air a little bit. I was saying, I'm surprised that more politicians haven't at least taken this and taken it to a different level and try to even get more out of it, because there's a lot there and they just kind of sit silent.
Well, and I thank you for mentioning that, because that's really kind of the next place on the road. Silence can be a deafening thing. And when you talk about politicians and political figures, or sometimes I get angry and I say members of the political class, because they're certainly acting like it. There's only three realms here in the possibility wheel with that. You agree with what is said, what we do in the morning, what you said in the common, you're remaining silent. You disagree. You really think that Lee Elci or Tony D'Angelo is a tinfoil hat guy, and you don't call us out, or you don't understand. And if you don't understand, what in heaven's name are you doing? You're making laws. You see violations of law. What in heaven's name are you doing being a lawmaker? Am I stupid? Maybe I am.
What would be the proper course of action now in your mind for Governor Lamont?
Well, it's curious. The spin machine cranked up. When I walked in the Pomfret Mart yesterday, the headline in the Hartford Courant was sort of a rehashed scrambled eggs of how high his ratings were. Dead center, front page. So somebody's reading this article, and the PR people were busily at work. I mean, silence doesn't work well, I think, as you're seeing now with Governor Cuomo. If he is sincere of heart, you say, hey, I really screwed up. I've got to put everything out there. I've got to show where these dollars are going. I've got to tell people what the SEMA 4 tests are costing. If you're even, damning with faint praise, go back to where you were in June and just say, we've been really busy. We've had all these things. By August 1st, this is all going to be there. I'm sorry, people. I mean, silence ain't going to work. And you know something? I'm one of those people where you're not going to get away with silence, because this is just, you insult people, you call them names, and you provide nothing, and you hope it goes away with a spin machine. That's where I'd be at in the whole thing.
I just want everybody to know, too, just to emphasize this. Tony has done just a remarkable amount of work with this. Now, we have talked about this. He has talked about it. I've sat here and listened and tried to absorb as much as I could. When's the first time you brought this to everybody's attention? It's got to be 6 months, right?
And thank you again. You always.
Well, no, but it's true. I mean, that's
the most excellent point. When we started to have the funny business with Candace Owens and the statistics.
Right. Okay, and that had to be 6-7 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that, at least,
it was
right?
Actually, maybe a year ago.
Okay. All right. So a year ago, you began down this trail, and then it was the Current that picked it up after you brought it up. They piggybacked you. And, then, I cited them in the actual column, but they actually piggybacked you, and they followed you. So, I just want to make sure people understand how much work Tony does, prior to coming on each and every Tuesday. And I do appreciate all of that.
Well, no, and believe me, I appreciate the opportunity, because we kill business in this state. We're business unfriendly. They keep trying to bring out the same scrambled eggs, and there's a big plastering thing this week. We'll talk about it a little bit next week. I forget the name of the actual entity, but the DECD is bankrolling something again to the millions, and they parade out, this is a business-friendly state. Well, it's like, a lot of business people, most decent business people don't want to rely on a state for anything. They know better. So where do they go? They go to Florida. They go to Texas. It's like it just baffles me beyond belief. Mm-hmm. But one thing I do want to do, and I'm running short on time. A couple of the kids had come to me last week, and a very nice gentleman yesterday had said, Tony, I'm out of hope. What you've been telling me is depressing me. I love what you do, but I took that to heart, because the last thing that I want to do is not give someone hope. Let me just say, how does this change? It just can't be Lee Elci. It just can't be Tony D'Angelo and some of the other, wonderful, dear folks on our screen. Every single one of us has got to do a little bit of a part. And I'm starting to see glimmers of hope, because, Joe Louis and Billy Kahn, you can run, but you can't hide. Sooner or later, you have to do it. So if you have absolutely nothing to do, go to the Paragon Trust website, like this whole thing with the zoning we talked about last week. I've made a reproduction there of Section 501c3. Give that to your local legislature. Say, hey, why are you allowing the illegal use of a nonprofit to, influence political things in the state? And see what kind of reaction you get. Come back to me and tell me. I want to know.
Interesting. All right, listen, we got about 90 seconds left, a little bit more than that if we can push it, but we don't always take calls during your segment, but we do have a couple on the line. You want to try to grab a couple real quick?